Welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and today we're talking to Kelly Henderson. Kelly is the Chief Executive Officer for Action Ministries, and Action Ministries has recently come into Troup County to help us house the homeless. Welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you, Wanda.
Now tell us about Action Ministries.
Well, first of all, we're happy to be here, and it's such an honor to be with you today and talk to your viewers.
Thank you.
Action Ministries has been around for the last 54 years. We're headquartered in Atlanta. We were founded in the middle of the Civil Rights Movement in the early 60s around issues related to poverty. So our focus is hunger relief, housing for the homeless, and educational programming. And so for the last half a century, we've been mobilizing communities around those issues. We work with about 70 staff, 15 program locations serving all of North Georgia, and we have over 12,000 volunteers that are just dedicated as we are to this work.
That's amazing. And you had a heart to come into Troup County. Tell us about that.
Well, that heart began with a conversation with you.
Oh, really?
Yes. So when we met about a year and a half ago at a meeting, you said, "Have you ever been to LaGrange, Georgia?" And I said, "No, but I sure like to visit."
Mm-hmm.
So we came down to visit, and we continued our conversation and realized that the work that's being done in LaGrange really embodies what we try to do everywhere across the state, meaning that communities have already really wrapped themselves around issues of poverty, and they're coming together and making significant change. So the opportunity was easy for us to be able to say, yes, we'd love to help, we'd love to be a part of that, and that's really a real testament to the leadership that this community has already demonstrated.
Yes, we are real proud of the cooperation that is here and how I think if you put out a need, the people of Troup County will meet that need, and we've seen it over and over again with mental health and homelessness and reentry and just a variety of needs that have arisen. And so I'm proud of this community too.
Should be. It's a great place.
Okay, what makes the problem of homelessness difficult for communities to solve?
That's a good question. Homelessness is very complex. Someone facing homelessness has typically gone through several stages. Maybe they've lost a job, maybe they've strained family resources and family support networks. There could be mental health issues or some other substance abuse issue that may have developed through that mental health trauma as well. So complex issues take complex solutions. So homelessness, we have to address each of those layers, but Action Ministries firmly believes that the first step is housing. If you don't know where you're going to sleep tomorrow or tonight, then you're not going to be able to really focus on the other things that are preventing you from being stable or being independent. So we focus on housing first, get a roof over their head, then address the other issues with the help of other community partners.
Yes, and so there is a case manager that is assigned, is that correct?
That's correct.
And tell me how that case manager interacts with the people that you house.
Absolutely. Well, the case manager is a key partner. We walk with the client, we develop a specific and tailored plan to the needs of that client, and so that we can walk with them and hopefully help them find a path to independence. We're a community-based organization, meaning that everywhere we serve, we hire locally. So we hired a case manager that lives here in LaGrange, works here in LaGrange, and is familiar with the network of care that's already in place so that she can make those connections in a quick way to help someone get back on their feet.
Yes, and that's Erin Elliott.
Erin Elliott.
And she was hired July the 17th and has done a remarkable job in locating one-bedroom units to house 23 chronically homeless people in Troup County, and the goal is to have them housed by September 30.
That is the goal, and we are pretty close to hitting that mark today. I was able to tour some sites yesterday with Erin. She's doing a great job, and really thanks to the broader part of the community of really helping her and welcoming her into the system of care that we have.
Yes, and then once they're housed, they also need like furniture and they need supplies, cleaning supplies or just toothpaste and those kinds of things, and the community has been really good in supplying those things, but we do need some more. I'm not sure if we have all the mattresses we need or furniture that we need, but if there's anybody out there that could help, if you'd contact the station, we'll get you in touch with Erin.
Exactly, and that's a great way for your church group your business, your civic club to get involved. And a lot of people want to get involved and they don't know where to start. Well, this is a great place to start. So either contact the station or to go to actionministries.net, and we have information about our housing program and a way to get in touch with our staff from there.
Yes. Okay, so describe what a person experiencing homelessness deals with on a daily basis.
Someone experiencing homelessness, number one, there's just a level of fear and anxiety that comes from not knowing where I'm going to sleep tonight. There's usually other things that they're battling at the same time. It could be a food insecure situation. It could be they're fleeing from a domestic violence situation. Many times these are families that are facing homelessness as well, so there may be kids involved or other extended family members. But really anxiety and fear that blinds people's ability to be able to focus on finding a solution. So what we do is we try to work with someone knowing that they're facing anxiety and flip that into urgency. So how do we change that anxiety into saying, let's urgently focus on this issue and let's start with your housing. Let's get a roof over your head tonight and look on a long-term plan, and then we'll begin working on the other issues together.
Yes, and that can help them relax and also think better and have somebody that walks them through that process, which is so very important.
It's key. They're not alone.
Yeah, and connect them with some resources that maybe they didn't know were even out there. So that's wonderful. Okay, so are there different levels of homelessness?
So the complexities that come with homelessness do create different levels. One way to look at that, and I would look at it, what is the root cause of their episode of homelessness? If someone just lost a job and they had a spiraling effect, that a job loss went to vehicle loss, went to home loss, and then that's what we call an acute episode of homelessness. It's usually situational, and it's usually something that we can help someone get back on their feet fairly quickly. You take that on the other end of the spectrum, and you have people that are what we call chronically homeless. They have been on the street many times for much longer than 1 year. Actually, in the project we're working on now on LaGrange, we're helping people that have been on the street for 5, 6, 7 years.
Wow.
So imagine experiencing homelessness is one thing, but experiencing and now homelessness becomes your way of life. That is a totally different intervention that's needed. So chronic homelessness is the most challenged part of our business, but it's also the one that I believe this community has adopted and said we want to really find a solution for this.
That's right. And so how does Action Ministries get funding to be able to put people into housing?
So we rely heavily on the generosity of others to do what we do. So if you look at our entire mix of where funding and support comes from, about 60% of our revenue comes from private philanthropy, which is churches, businesses, individuals who are giving to support Action Ministries. In addition to that, housing is a very expensive issue, and so we do rely on tax-based funding through federal and local and state grants to be able to cover the other 40% of the cost to be able to do that. So about 60-40 between private philanthropy and federal or government grants to be able to help us with that.
Yes, that's amazing that 60% of it doesn't come from the federal government. I'm impressed with that.
There are thousands and thousands of people that believe in giving back to their community, and we rely on that generosity. And once they understand and are aware of what issues their own communities are facing, it makes for an easy conversation.
Yes, and so I know we have a grant that is housing chronically homeless.
Right.
Usually that's not the grant that you use when you're going into a community. Talk about what you normally provide, and then also why Troup County was given the opportunity to work with the chronically homeless.
Right. Well, we try to we tried a couple resources together from various sources when we're when we're invited to come into a community. And number one, there's an invitation. Would you like to
Yes.
come in and talk to us about what we're already working on and how we may be able to extend that support? So that's where our conversation began. Typically, we start with family homelessness or veterans homelessness. But when we go into a community, we also ask what's already happening in that community. And some of that work was already happening in this community and was really going well. So for us, we then have to take a step back and have a side conversation to say, what are the unmet needs? And understanding that there is a chronic homeless population that is on average more than 5 years on the street in this community is something that we can deal with. So working with LaGrange PD and other folks to say, how are you policing, how are you working with this community? And then we were able to take that information back to our funding partners and negotiate and ask them to allocate funding for this region. It took a while. It
Yes.
took a little over a year, but a lot of conversations supported by facts that said this is the population, this is what's happening, this is what needs to happen, led to a grant that allowed us to bring a grant to Troup County and LaGrange specifically to address the chronically homeless.
Yes. Okay. And what can churches do to help?
So as a faith-based organization, we make an appeal to all churches and all people of faith. We are excited with our history to be able to provide an opportunity for people to engage their community, and what better place to engage it than in their church home.
Right.
So we really encourage churches to get involved through volunteering, so reach out to the station or to actionministries.net for more information. To get involved with giving. Maybe you do a second collection on a Sunday to support the work that's being done here. Another way to get involved is to welcome. One of the challenges with homelessness is we are working to reintegrate and relocate people back into community.
Right.
Which means that they may be on the street or in another situation that's not where they need to be, and we relocate them into a community. They're now your neighbor. So an opportunity, if you have a Wednesday night supper, if you have a Dave Ramsey workshop, if you have things that are welcoming to your community, open your door to people that are new to the community that you know have been relocated through one of our programs, and welcome them in. And you never know, you may find a new friend.
That's
in the
right.
process.
Yes. And you see a big difference in people when they're brought in and housed, and the case manager works with them over a period of time. Tell me about an individual or a situation that you've seen where it just has turned a person around.
There are so many stories. Many of them are just really beautiful, and I will share a story that's a local story.
Okay.
We'll change the name, of course,
Yes.
but we'll call her Carol.
All right.
We were recently working with a woman who had lost her family network about a decade ago. She actually served in the military earlier in her life. And through moving from home to extended stay hotel to car to street, we met her living in a tent in the woods through a referral from another agency. And so we immediately had to work on a lot of things going on. There were health concerns, there were things that we needed to address immediately. But we started with housing, and we were able to relocate Carol into an apartment.
Yes.
One-bedroom apartment.
Good.
And now, fast forward, she's been in this new one-bedroom apartment for about a month and a half, just got a job, and there's a transformation when
Yes.
someone is not worried about where they're going to sleep. And so anyone that would have known her a year ago or even 2 months ago would not recognize her today.
That's awesome.
So she's on her path, and she's on a good path to independence, and she's got a friend and our case manager that's going to walk with her along the way, and I'm really excited to see where she may go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so what can an average person do to help? Just somebody who's watching TV today and they say, wow, that's very interesting. I'd like to help, or I'd like to get involved. Tell us about that.
Well, I like the way you said the question, what can an average person do? Because I think we all at some point in our life want to get back. We don't know where to start. There's an old proverb that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. just get started, get involved. Go through your church, go through your business, go through actionministries.net, find a volunteer opportunity to get involved. Give of your time and give of your resources and give of your influence. So your time, we're going to help you to find a way to serve. Your resources, help to give to a cause that you believe in. And lastly, if you're excited about what you're doing, tell people about it and help us to tell our story and raise awareness of the problem.
Yes, because we all have that sphere of influence. And as we talk, we may not be able to do something, but somebody in our circle might be able to do a lot. I don't cook very well or whatever, but I have some friends that do and have a heart for cooking and might be able to prepare a meal or just anything. I mean, you can find your niche and get into your gifting and helping and volunteering to help others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's lots to do, and we need people to do it, don't we?
We need all the help. As my granny used to say, many hands make light work. So let's bring everybody
That's right.
together.
How can somebody receive help from Action Ministries?
So there are a couple of ways to receive help. If you are currently receiving services, meaning that you're having a meal at a community kitchen or you're visiting a food pantry, and you really don't know where to go next, ask for help. There's a beautiful and wonderfully organized organization involved in the Homeless Coalition here in Troup County that can help direct you to where you need to go. And you may end up being connected to us or another agency depending on your need. If you are not in this town or in this listening area, go to our website, actionministries.net, and there's a number on there that you can call from anywhere in the state that will allow you to speak to an intake coordinator. We do have a hotline that can help you. And so really just being able to reach out and ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And agencies like ours and others will help direct you to where you need to be.
Yes, and there are other counties than Troup that Action Ministries is in that our audience covers. So
that's right.
Yeah, so that would be great.
We currently serve 56 counties here in the state of Georgia. So if we cannot help you, we know someone who can.
Oh, that's great. All right, so we go a little bit into Alabama. Do you know some Alabama folks?
I've got some friends in Alabama, so I can make some phone calls.
Good, that's great. Okay, so where does Action Ministries fit in the community system of care?
So a system of care, as we see it, is really a group of people that are passionate about finding solutions for poverty. And in this case, we're talking about this project around homelessness. We are clearly one provider that can offer housing, meaning that we want to take someone from street to home within 30 days. That's our goal, less than 30 days. But we're one component of that. We may need to connect them with food resources. We may need to connect them with job training, connect them with mental health services. And so we are one component of the system of care, but how the system of care really should work, and we believe that it's already working well in this town, is that we quickly hand off to each other.
Yes.
So that if we can't help you with a specific issue, we're going to introduce you to someone who can. So we're the housing piece for the chronically homeless. But there are other things that need to happen as well.
Okay, so once we get the 23 chronically homeless housed, there are plans, right, to go for other monies to help us house even more?
I think that would be a logical next step in our conversation. The way that the dollars are allocated through some of these funding programs is we have to demonstrate need. So I think demonstrating need means being involved. Your community has to be able to help identify the problem and quantify the problem. And then we can go out and negotiate with the relationships that we have to bring more resources here. But housing is one piece of that. We also do hunger relief and educational programming as well. So perhaps there's an opportunity to talk about, are there any unmet needs in the hunger area or any unmet needs in the education area as well that we might be able to help bring other resources and other support to town.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so do you work with similar organizations on local, regional, and national level?
Yes.
Yes.
So we work with anyone that will be a part of the conversation. Anyone that's willing to join us at the table, we usually find a way to work with. So, for instance, in a housing program, we really have to have support from private property owners. And so we have to
That's
make sure
right.
that the work that we're doing is a good business investment for them as well. And we've had a lot of success here in town because it makes sense. Also, we have to make sure that our communities are helping us to raise support. So we work with civic clubs, we work with local federal government, and anyone that's going to be an audience for us that will help us to tell our story. We also advocate as well, which sometimes the advocacy piece starts the conversation. So we are frequently asked to speak at conferences as far away as DC to be able to talk about issues of homelessness and what we're doing. And we often showcase a community. So I am really excited to be putting the pieces together for what's going on here in LaGrange so that we can start sharing that story outside of this area.
Yes, that's great. So Action Ministries, tell me about the origin of Action Ministries.
So we were founded out of the trunk of a pastor's car in 1963. We had a real heart for serving at-risk youth and seniors in Atlanta. We're a faith-based organization. We were founded as an extension ministry of the North Georgia Conference of the United Methodist Church, which is the largest group of Methodist churches in the country. Over 800 churches in North Georgia in this conference. And we are a separate organization. We have our own 501c3 as a nonprofit, and we have our separate board, but we are directly affiliated with our faith-based roots. It's important to us to be able to say that we're a faith-based organization.
Yes.
We're ecumenical. We work with any denomination or any person of faith or any person that just wants to get involved. But that is an important part of our history and an important part of our future, and we couldn't do it without the support of our church base.
Yes, and so we know that God was behind this ministry because of how it has expanded. And you have worked in that ministry for a while. Tell me about your experience, your work experience, and you were just recently named the Chief Executive Officer. So tell me how that happened.
Oh, wow. I'll keep our story short for the purpose of our meeting today. I appreciate you asking it. I like to tell people I'm a recovering banker.
Okay.
So I spent most of my adult career in financial services, and I was a volunteer. About 11 years ago, I was volunteering in a homeless shelter and really fell in love with the work that was happening there. And I really felt a calling to do more, and so I saw that as an opportunity, kind of the writing on the wall, to make a change. And so I had a career change, and I really immersed myself in the work that was going on with homelessness, street outreach, hunger relief in North Georgia. And during that time, I had an opportunity to apply some of the skills that I had developed in my previous career, and kind of grew with the organization. I've now had the opportunity and privilege to work for 3 nonprofits. I've been at Action Ministries for the last 3 years as our Chief Operating Officer, and we had some leadership transition earlier this year, and it gave our board an opportunity to say, hey, would you like to take the keys?
Yes.
So it's a real honor to be here. I would have never thought 11 years ago, volunteering in a shelter, that I would have the opportunity to lead an organization as impactful as Action Ministries. So I'm just real honored and humbled to be here.
That's awesome. So now you're the executive director.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yes.
good. That's awesome. All right, so what other programs do you see Action Ministries bringing in the future to LaGrange?
I think we're always on a listening tour. So what I mean by that is I spend so much time out talking to people in communities, partners in the communities, to find out, what do you think you need? What do you think is not being met? So listening first will tell us what's next. I think we know what we do well and we know what we don't do well. And hunger relief and education are 2 other components that I believe is an opportunity for us to have a conversation. But we also want to make sure that we're not duplicating services. If there's someone that's already doing a great job in one of those areas, we don't want to come in and step on what the good work that's already being done. But perhaps we could complement it. Perhaps we could find ways to get more food into the community. I like to say we can help find the nooks and crannies of the community that aren't being, where the needs aren't being met. So I think that's the next logical conversation, is hunger relief and education.
Yes, and also I like that what you said about duplication of services and those kinds of things, because I think that we're in real need of taking a look at what we're doing in the community and making it so that we are more coordinated.
Right.
And that we aren't duplicating, but we're providing all the services that are needed in a systematic way that meets the needs of the people that are here.
Exactly. LaGrange is an extremely organized community when it comes to issues related to poverty. So that was really exciting to us, is to see that level of coordination and the leadership that was already behind that. And so I think those next conversations are going to be easier had because of that.
Yes. And also, we have Circles of Troup County, which deals with poverty. And we've had that initiative for several years now, and we're seeing that grow, where we actually take people who want to come out of poverty and place them with people who maybe have come out of poverty, or maybe they've never been in poverty, but we put them with the middle class thinking people, because there is a different mindset for the middle class. There's a different mindset for the wealthy. There's a little test that you can take, and it shows if you have that poverty mindset, or if you have the middle class mindset, or if you have the wealth one. And the wealth one was just way out of my league. I mean, I had never thought about doing some of the things that they said that the wealthy think about. So it's just an evaluation too. But if you can pair someone who's coming out of poverty with someone who has a different mindset, then they begin to pick up on those things. And people in the middle class have more resources available to them than someone in poverty, and can open doors and connect those people so that they come out of poverty into that middle class thinking, and jobs and resources, and improve their situation. And we have seen that happens pretty quickly. So I think with the expansion of circles in Troup County, Action Ministries coming into Troup County, and just other things that have developed, I think Ark Refuge is expanding what they're doing, and Max Riley is expanding what he's doing. It's just a great opportunity in Troup County to see people helped and brought to a different level than they've been at before.
Right.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want our listeners to know?
If I could leave one thing with your listeners, I would just ask you to really consider hope, the word hope. The work that we do, many of the folks that are facing homelessness have not only lost a home, or they've lost resources, they've lost friends, but many times they've lost hope. And that's something that's really hard to replenish the bank with. So anytime you see an opportunity to offer a hand out to someone, or a hand up to someone, do it in a way that helps them to realize that there is hope.
Yes.
We like to say that we're helping them to write a new chapter in their story. And so for them to realize that there is another chapter, they can turn the page, they can move forward, often is a significant turning point in their recovery.
Yes. And I know that sometimes in your life, when you think that it's really hard, you may only be on page 23 in your story.
That's right.
And if you keep reading or keep moving forward and those kinds of things, your story has a good ending. And I know that God always works all things together for the good of those that love the Lord, and He's always working in your life. Thank you for watching You Make the Difference. And remember, you truly do.
Got a promise from heaven. It's a year of replevin. Got a promise from heaven.